This week on JTV, we're at Mid Island Wholesale in Long Island, where we're creating a fall and Christmas show. It's a perfect opportunity for me to show you a great Halloween centerpiece that's versatile and will have all your guests spooked out for the holidays. So when I was looking for something for our Halloween arrangement, I found these great pumpkins, and they come in 3 different sizes. That took me back to something that we've done before on JTV, the etagere arrangement, because it would be really cool to stack these. I was looking at the latest issue of Martha Stewart, and she had stacked different pumpkins and gourds together to make mushrooms. So I thought, why not stack these together to make a pumpkin stack? Now, there are 3 different sizes, and actually, they fit together very nicely. So our challenge is going to be to create our arrangements so that we have a separation in between each of the layers that has our floral content and an interesting activation accessory that we're going to use. So I'm going to use styrofoam as the base inside each of these. An ideal thing to work with are the cubes. The cubes come in several different sizes, and again, that's a big, thick piece of styrofoam, so that I'm not taking pieces and layering them on top of each other with glue in between. Then I'm trying to dry flowers through that. A cube works much better. So I've got 3 different cubes. I've got a bigger one for this size. I've got another one for this size, and this one on this end. Now, what's interesting about this is I carved the edges down to make them fit more evenly into the pumpkins themselves. Just take your knife and carve down the sides. That's pretty simple. The next thing is, you'll notice that these are all falling down inside. So I want to get them up so that I've got a good opportunity to make my placements all the way around. Plus, this up higher is going to allow me to set my pumpkin on top of that. So I just took pieces of styrofoam, I used a green sheet, and I cut off pieces that fit down inside. I'll use my hot glue and place that into the bottom. Then my cube goes on top. And I'll just apply that to that piece of styrofoam underneath. The other great thing about this is that cube is stable and even, so it allows this to set on top. It's not going to be any problem whatsoever. We'll do that with our other 2 sizes as well. This one I wanted to build up a little bit, and I needed it to be thicker than 1 piece, but not 2 pieces together. So I just used 2 wedges and put that on the bottom. We'll glue that down inside. And our cube with its sides shaved goes right inside there. And one more piece here. Now you'll notice my glue's really hot. I just heated it up this morning, and it's probably a little too hot for me to be working with. I want to make sure that it's about 220 degrees. You notice that it also dripped onto my pots here. Leave it alone at that point in time. Let this cool off completely before you try to remove it, and it's going to snap right off of the ceramic. Trying to remove it when it's still too warm is just going to cause a big gunky mess for you. So, everybody's all ready to go. Nice stacks. So now, we've got our containers, they're all ready. But there's that white styrofoam looking at us right in the face. What are we going to do about that to help conceal it? Design Master to the rescue. I'm going to use the regular orange Design Master. We'll shake it, point the nozzle to the black spot, and then I'm just going to paint my styrofoam. Now you'll notice I'm getting a little bit of overspray on my pumpkin itself. That's okay, because I'm just going to come back and use it to enhance the edge. Notice how I'm using short, quick blasts. That helps give me a more even tonality. And then I'm going to follow it with one of my favorites, glossy wood tone. You'll notice that my pumpkin here is already having a much better personality because the colors are enhancing and there's variations in tone. These shapes are beautiful, but again, having that variation in tone is going to make this even more upscale and more realistic. Now again, working with short blasts is really important. And I like that the glossy wood tone also comes out and gives me just a little bit of splatter. I love that because it looks just like that natural tone that you'd see on a pumpkin. One of the things to remember about glossy wood tone is that you don't want it to be too heavy, and going too fast can cause it to bleed and run down the object. That's not good. Being slow and deliberate using those short blasts is a perfect way for us to enhance this pumpkin. Look at how great that looks. It's natural and it's wonderful. It makes it look so much better than what we started with. We'll do that to all three pumpkins now. You know, one of the things that people ask me all the time is, will Design Master Paint eat the styrofoam? I was at a show the other day where somebody said, "You want me to paint the styrofoam?" And I said, "Absolutely." And they said, "It'll just dissolve." And I said, "Not when you use Design Master Paint. It's gentle enough for flowers, which means that it's gentle enough for styrofoam." It's the perfect way to conceal our styrofoam by using color. This color is just going to fade away into the arrangement itself, and we won't even know that styrofoam base is there. So our next step is to create the flower and foliage accents for these. We're going to create a collar of foliage and flowers around the outside, and then our pumpkin will sit in the middle of it. So we won't be making any placements on the top itself. All of this action is going to happen around the outside. Start with some great foliages. This is a bush that they have available here at Mid Island. I love bushes because they have a great value and gives us lots of placement for very little money. I'm cutting them apart so we're not using it as a bush, and then we use the pieces individually, dipping them into my hot glue and then going into the side of the container. Now again, remember, all the permanent botanicals we have wires inside them. So the wires that are inside there help us shape them and make them look more natural, even when we're working with something that's an inexpensive bush. By bringing that down and contouring it along the side, cutting it into two pieces so that we've made placements in a couple different areas, we get something that's really fun. At the same time, you could also use pieces all the way around and use just one type of product. We're going to use a mixture today so that we get a lot of great colors. And I'm going to go with the Halloween theme of using chartreuse greens and purples and oranges together. Those colors have become popular for us throughout design for Halloween. And so having that purple inside there and that chartreuse green is going to make these colors bubble up and be exciting. Just like the autumn leaves we see along the roadside, it's not all in one shape and it's very asymmetrical. So you can see that it's working its way around as a collar, but it's it's also in groupings. Then we can tuck other accents in between that. This pick has berries and twigs and leaves in it. And that's an easy insertion for me as well, because one stem goes right into place. We'll use the berries I cut out of the middle on the other side. Here's another great bush. It has fall tone leaves that are made of plastic. I love the fact that we're seeing plastics available now, and those plastics look great. The juxtaposition of those textures really gives interest to the arrangement we're creating. We're working our shape all the way around and creating that collar. That encircles the entire arrangement. Now it's okay to grab your pumpkin and put it in there and see how it's going to look, to make sure that you don't have anything obstructing how it's going to sit level or anything like that. In fact, I'm going to leave it there as I add some of these pretty ranunculus. Now, another great thing I love about bushes is the fact that we can take the stems, and on this one we can take some of these leaves and slide them up the stem so that we get more impact at the top of the stem itself. So just taking those and grasping them firmly and sliding them up the stem. Now this one's pretty graphic because they've used a flocking to help enhance the stem, but we're going to cut below that so you won't even see it. Then all of those flowers have a grouping and backing of leaves behind them. The other great thing is, notice where that styrofoam shows now, it doesn't really matter because it's the same color as the pumpkin. My last flower placement for this is going to be some of these purple ranunculus. Again, they have the great same shape as the little tiny orange ones. And we're going to split it up so that we've got placements. 3 from one stem. A couple of leaves, a flower, and a flower and buds. The chartreuse green of these leaves activates the other colors the same way that the berries we used earlier do. Adding it in between those oranges and greens and rust colors makes those colors bubble up. Now it looks great all the way around, and again, my pumpkin sits down very easily in the center. Now, we just move on and do the same thing with the other 2 containers we have. Because we're seeing this from all sides too, I want to make sure that every side is just as pretty as the next. And this guy will look great sitting up inside of that. Now you also might be asking yourselves, what do we do with these? Because the great part about these centerpieces is the fact that these centerpieces can stand alone at certain times and be combined at other times. So right now, we could take this right here and use it for one of our fun Halloween pieces and have that set in the middle of it. Or perhaps we put a votive candle in the middle of this one. Or even a cute little mini pumpkin, fresh, dropped in the center of that. It gives us the opportunity to utilize these in several different ways and then combine them together. Now it's time for me to add ribbon to this. I've used some great looking orange ribbon. We'll start with our top piece right here and place that in there. We're applying the ribbon the same way we always do on JTV, with a stick and pushing it directly into the foam. You'll notice with each of these, I didn't take ribbon and put it around the entire perimeter, although I could if I wanted to. But in this case, I focused it in one spot so that we have a stronger focal area with it. When we stack the arrangement, it will be even more asymmetrical. I like that look. But again, remember, it's completely up to you. You add the creativity. Now, our final step is to add that thing I told you that would add some activation to this and make it more whimsical and fun. I'm going to add some butterflies. I like the butterflies because they're orange and black. They come on a wire, and I can take them and just dip that wire in the glue and then place those butterflies around the outside. They're going to have movement, and they're going to be throughout the entire arrangement. What I'm doing is running my fingers down the wire so that they hold the butterflies out there in a very natural position. Then I just glue that wire into place, putting a good quantity of glue on the back side so that it's not going to spin around. That's an issue. We don't want them all falling down around the outside. We want them to stay up and be nice and perky. Okay, so now all three pieces fit together. And our butterflies are winding around everything. Now the true test is in the pudding with this. We'll see how our audience likes it tomorrow. But imagine how fun this would be if you were dressed up as a butterfly for Halloween, and maybe your partner's dressed up as a butterfly catcher wandering around with a net. It's a fun way for us to think about these great butterflies for your next Halloween celebration. Until next week, keep having fun with flowers.